Hello, everybody, and welcome on back to some Minecraft Musings. I'm your host, A-Rye, and it is a happy Sunday. Just a happy day in general. I'm on vacation. I'm gonna be hanging out with my kiddos for a lot of the week, and yeah, doxing information. But by the time you see this, they'll already be like in high school and whatnot. So, anyways, um, no, been doing a lot of interesting talking on the X app. Now I'm starting to interact with more people that are concerned with the China situation. And by the China situation, I mean how America has treated China and how we're all going to be treating each other or fighting each other. Or, like there's a lot of concern about war and, Taiwan, Ukraine. I guess it doesn't matter if we did the thing, if we tilled the land. But anyways, like just so this is still part of that thread. Let me back up a little bit. So we did a thread with Advocate and Mr. Canada, both of which were very, very rude, very condescending, very like angry, very emotional in their discussion, and didn't really come with a lot of facts. They came with a lot of facts, just not anything relevant to what we were talking about. They were trying to branch out into other areas that they had more solid footing in when like their original stance was challenged. For instance, let's see. Advocate said that Putin was arresting and killing gay people, which I found to be false. I mean, at least from what Google was saying. Like, it could be wrong. And I was waiting for a correction or something. I honestly wanted her to be like, okay, no, wait, here's an article that shows that Putin executed these people with these names. We had documentation. And that's something else I'm arguing in a completely other thread about Hamas and Israel and Gaza and and not to jump on a bandwagon, like still look at it. So I googled like the death casualties, like how many people have died so far, and like okay, 1,000. It's like 1,300 for Israel. Anyways, sorry, we're not gonna debate that because that's like another one. We can talk about that here a little bit, but China. So a very interesting thing started happening. Like so, I posted that thread, and as I look back at it now, it seems a little pompous on my side. The rules or the negotiation terms I want to put in front of Putin, like not that I don't know, who knows if they would ever actually reach Putin's eyes, but the ideas, they could form them, they could mold them. Someone smarter or more important than I, at least in this area too. We did like discuss that. Advocate, Mr. Canada, and we all talked about intelligence and stuff because he said this guy doesn't sound too intelligent. I was like, oh, sorry, I'm just a computer scientist and a white hat cybersecurity professional. No, 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 I'm not intelligent at all. Like being very facetious and sarcastic, and beyond that, I did take level 100 like entry level classes in anthropology, sociology, two classes in history. Like I've done Western Civ, I've done art history, which art history in itself tells another picture with a bunch of visual aids, like, a bunch of paintings, statues, and like learning about the actual history of the time, why that was made, what it was referencing, and this kind of always bothered me. Like, it was annoying. But like my first experience with it was a community college class in art history through Front Range Community College online, like back in the days of dial-up internet, and it was like a correspondence course. I had videotapes that were mailed to me, and I put the and VHS tapes, not DVDs even, and I put them in at least I'm pretty sure they were VHS tapes. Anyways, yeah, I think they were. So now I'd have to be like, okay, even if they were DVDs, that's still, yeah. So anyways, and we had dial-up internet. I know that we had a computer that had like 1 gig of RAM. Now the average computer has about 4 gigs if you get it from Walmart, like a cheapo, which is great for office stuff. But then, anyway, sorry, just like, well, yeah, no, that is relevant. So for Minecraft, I'm pretty sure you need at least 8, if not 16 gigs. I have 16 gigs on my laptop, my personal one, because I had to for the cybersecurity class, because we had to run virtual machines so we could make a basic laboratory of our home computer setup. So, um, and we had to monitor networks and all that, and like, I've got all that. So blah blah blah. But and blue teaming, which I can actually teach that stuff and not feel bad, but I won't really go into a lot of red teaming. People will, like you can YouTube anything anymore. So I mean, it's silly, but at the same time, it's important to note that I signed a white hat manifesto. So I was trained on how to prevent and attack in cyber warfare. And so, because you have to learn what to protect against, so we learned how to do it. And so it's not, and I even did that back at CSU for my undergrad. It's a part of every computer science and applied computing technology degree is you have to learn computer security because it's also software security and why you need to program your programs in a certain way. Like if you just write sloppy computer code, you leave yourself vulnerable to known attacks. And the cybersecurity community is a very inclusive and informative community. So it doesn't even matter what I, refuse to teach or what we'll teach on here without signing a white hat manifesto saying that you'll only use it for good and not evil. Um, and that's also important because since perspective is reality, everybody's opinion on good versus evil can sway, and that's why there's an entire group or a subgroup of malicious actors, people to protect against, that are hacktivists, or they will deface websites or cause some kind of other tech malfunction or abuse that wasn't intended by the creator of the tech, or the licensor, or the owner of the tech, any of that. Like, it's all legal jargon, but basically, it's people doing bad things they know they're not supposed to, no matter what the justification. And that's what white hat is. Like, you still can't be doing that. You can't be messing up. You can't be breaking things. You can't be violating people and, like, messing with them. Now, to a point, jokes and all that, like, you might get a slap on the wrist or, like, if it's nothing too serious, but a lot of it, unfortunately, is used for stealing. And people have this false perception, again, perception is reality, that everybody in America is rich or like or old people, they don't need their retirement money or when the sad stark reality is more of a Breaking Bad nature with our health and medical system. Our old people are barely living penny to or paycheck to paycheck, penny to penny. Like they're poor and they get robbed because they think, "Oh no, I got a computer virus or whatever." And then someone from India is like, and I hate to say that, but most of it is India and Russia and China. But the other ones are a little more noble intent. Like, yes, I'm still protecting against them. I was actually just reading an FBI report on how to defend against a certain way that they're laying and like masking what they're doing with normal everyday processes, which is nothing new. I mean, that's why you do log analysis, process analysis. Like, you're looking at, I mean, the actual life of a security professional is reading a report. Like, uh-oh. Okay, I think I just started filling up with space. Oh no, I have space for both. But I do not have melon seeds. And now I don't as well. Anyways. So, the interesting development. Sorry. That's what we started this whole episode with. Let me get some water. Oh, and I think we're going to have to do season 5 here soon because this is getting pretty lengthy. And we're getting to like the apex of um, some really good cybersecurity concepts. Now, social engineering in a positive nature, like what I've been doing with XApp, is trying to use manipulation or coercion in a positive way for positive outcomes. And yes, it could still be seen as hacktivism without tech, which is kind of funny. I don't think I'd actually be called breaking any laws, especially nothing more serious than. I mean, well, for example, I talk with this. I don't. She doesn't respond. She doesn't like. She doesn't acknowledge. Like she just pretends. And I know she sees it because a lot of her posts, there's only like 5 or 6 responses, and so even if she's not looking at them, her people are. And then her people, whoever reports to her, like her secretary or admin assistant or college student, whatever. Like there's no shame in working those jobs. In fact, as I say that, um, my own company, admin assistant is actually a pretty glorified position, and they get paid pretty well. Actually, I don't know. I'd have to see. They get treated really well. I know that. Of course, we all do. So that's not. Let's see. Wait, what am I doing? Glass factory. Let's go deposit some of this stuff. I saw all that, I guess, and that's what got me wanting to harvest some sugarcane. But anyways, China. So we've already seen that people, Western Democrats, people that I pretty much identify as. I mean, I don't agree with everything, not to the point where it really matters. Like as far as the transgender issue, my stance is bodily autonomy. Same with the woman's right to choose. I don't really have a lot of say in that. Like I don't think I'm going to be transgender anytime soon, so it's not a vested interest for me. And I do know one person in my family that's going is transitioning. So yeah, I do have a vested interest that way. But at the same time, I feel like it's the responsibility of the individual adult to make these adult decisions. And that's what I argued with this Democrat lady, and that's why she blocked me again. It's the same one that she blocked me the first time, Advocate, and then she unblocked me because she saw that I was talking to Mr. Canada, the one that originally started the conversation with F off, all caps. Like, no, how do you do? Like, oh, F you, like, F off. Like, I hate your opinion so much I will just, like, yell at you on virtual space. And so, which I mean, I doubt he's got the stones to say that in person. And I have gotten like almost to the point where, I mean, it's about as big as when I used to talk smack playing StarCraft back in the day when I think I was like middle school or late elementary school. Yeah, because I came back from Nevada in third grade or after third grade, so fourth grade I was back. I did my presentation on Duke Nukem because I wanted to show that the internet and stuff. And my teacher knew. I don't even know if she knew. I was such BSing. Like I was like, I just took a video game I had, a disc, and I brought it in, and it was Duke Nukem. It looked like the nuclear signal. And for those that don't know what Duke Nukem is, it's one of the original shooters, like way before even GoldenEye. Duke Nukem. And there was another one. Well, there was Doom. That was like probably the most popular one. But Duke Nukem was another one where you go into a strip club in the very first scene or the very first area, like, and you see someone stripping, like, and of course it's like 8-bit graphics, so it's just like some lady on a pole like dancing around, and you got like some of the pig like alien things or mutants or whatever they are. I forget. I can't remember if they're aliens or mutants or demons even. They could have been even demons, and so it was like basically Doom just in the city. Anyways, I forgot where I was going with that. Well, let's back up a little bit. China, Russia, and yeah, that's right. Transgender, bodily autonomy. You do what works for you, but you cannot start impeding on other people's freedoms or infringing. Sorry, you cannot start infringing on other people's freedoms, and that's like the whole bathroom argument. Like all it takes is for one transitioning person to abuse that and start doing anything inappropriate with like basically making it an unsafe situation. That's not okay because bathrooms are pretty protected. Like that needs to be a private area that is safe. For everywhere needs to be safe, but especially there because, well, unless you have a lady cop like right there, it's hard to just go there. I mean, I guess cleaning crews have to go in all the time, and like, you'd have to like yell in there, be like, janitor or clean crew or whatever, like, make sure there's no people in there. Same if you were a lady janitor and or custodian, and then going into a men's bathroom. So, anyways, I digress. I'm not even worried as much as that. I just know that that's one of the common arguments that like is debated about, and I don't even know like. Well, so Russia. What I did find in the articles was that Russia bans minors from being told about LGBTQ, and to which I even pointed out in the argument that adding T to the LGBTQ just adds makes like the problems for all or problems for one is felt by all. And that's the same thing with NATO. Like, if you have a problem with one country in NATO, you have a problem with everyone, like ganging up, basically. And that's why, like, I mean, there's almost some validity to the whole Rainbow Mafia mindset. Whether it's true or not, like, you can see how it could be understood that way, because if you attack one, which is what Russia's doing, like, they say that the rainbow flag, I think, is the propaganda and the extremists. And so that is kind of going too far. They're like arresting people for waving a flag. Well, guess what happened with like BLM and like certain offensive shirts that way, or like if you wear a shirt with like graphic images of a dead kid or something to school, like you could go to jail for a few days, or I think 15 days was the max that Russia was putting these people in jail for. It's political activism. I'm sorry. Same with that guy that wore the gay shirt to Qatar. You were dumb for doing that. I mean, I'm sorry. Like, at least, like, you need to figure out a better way to do that rather than brazenly trying to get in trouble. Like, I mean, I know it's a censorship of speech, but come on. Like, even the U.S. has been doing it. So that's when the big thing is, like, I hate how people get all high and mighty that the U.S. is blameless for all this because, and a big fallacy, and myself included up until recently, the last few years, because I did some very dumb political things on Facebook even, and I had someone check me, and she said stuff like, one of my friends, she was just like, as much as I would like to see, I think it was anti-Trump during the Hillary, Trump, Bernie fiasco, which I brought up here too. I was like, I was a Bernie bro, like all the way, and he made the most sense, still makes the most sense to this day, like, protesting Israel and what Israel's doing, regardless of how many Hamas they're stopping and all this and how much revenge they're getting. It's like all the extra deaths, and that's what the other thread that I'm arguing. But where was I going with that? well, anyways, it's just scary because like originally it was gay marriage rights. That was a thing. That took a long time. We have it now. That's great. Like, if you love somebody, you should be able to marry that person. Period. A person is a person. I feel like I'm quoting Dr. Seuss over here. You know, a person is a person, no matter how small. You know, from Horton Hears a Who, or the Sneetches. And the Sneetches have stars upon stars are better than the ones without, which is kind of interesting because it's like the reverse of like the ones with stars back in World War II were marked as Jewish and exterminated, and that was a genocide. Now, even in that other debate, I was arguing. I was like, well, this seems like a genocide too. Like I know they're saying they're targeting Hamas, but just like I mean, America was targeting ISIS and all those other ISIL and all the different variations and whatnot. Like we were doing that, but we were systematically killing a bunch of Muslims. It was like a shoot now, ask later scenario where we were dropping bombs and drone striking and all that stuff. Oops, I need seeds. So get my seed-o-matic. All right. I mean, it's not a lot, but I don't really need a whole lot. Okay. So I don't know. It's just I'm very cautious to not exclude America from the criticisms. I guess is the best way to put that. Like, if you're gonna point one finger, you better be ready to point that finger back at yourself. Sorry. So, anyways, what's interesting about this thread is so I'm calling out people from my own political party. I think both of these people actually were following me. Sorry, I just like yelled there. I think both of them were followers on my X account. Like, I know one was. He followed me. He was a follower, and then he unfollowed me. Then he followed me again when we apologized. But then as soon as I kept disagreeing with them, they're like, "Oh no, this guy is just dumb. Like, how could he be like, oh, how this and that?" But they avoided the question. I said, "Did you spread?" I don't think I actually asked it, but I guess I was. So there, that's on me. I was waiting for the implication of her providing evidence that she didn't just spread Western propaganda, and maybe she didn't pay attention as much to that part of the conversation where I said, "You just spread Western propaganda. Look at that. Like, same thing. I don't care if you don't like this person. It all started with the Tucker Putin interview. It's like, I don't care if you don't like these people. It's important to listen to what they're saying. Because how else are you going to try to understand or see it from their side? Like every court case, every trial we have, every time we try to figure out if someone is guilty or not, we do that. We give a due process, and we're very proud of that fact. Like, if you don't, I mean, well, the whole case can get thrown out first of all, and then justice be darned. Like, you're not going to get anything out of that. So but you see both sides of the any the defendant gets to defend themselves and they get a lawyer that's appointed to them if they can't afford one. Like everybody knows this, especially poor people, because poor people on average have more problems. Or well, the more problems that would land them in jail and in front of a judge, I guess I could say. So, and a lot of that's alcohol. I mean, I hate to say it, but actually not really. I had a lot of great fun with alcohol back in the day. I haven't drank for over 4 years now, and I've been so happier from it. Now, granted, if I had never experienced it in the first place, I wouldn't know. I wouldn't have any frame of reference to base my decision off. I'd be like, yeah, life's pretty good. Can't complain. But, I had a lot of fun drinking. I'm just gonna say that, but responsibly. That means not driving, not trying to have to like get places, not trying to have to hide and all that. Like, just responsible drinking and partying and having fun. And that's what college usually is, but it does get out of control, and that's why we have like a literal army here in Fort Collins, which is a college town. So, you know, more of the little background of why I just think the way that I do. And look at Colorado, we legalized mushrooms. Boom. Like, I didn't actually think that was going to happen anytime soon. Like, I kind of hoped it did, but I was more worried about cannabis, because cannabis at least makes sense as a healthy alternative to alcohol. And if a lot of poor people, which now they do, I mean, the locals enjoy it because they can do it, in the safety of their homes. But tourists, we still need to figure it out for tourists and visitors. Like I keep inviting these Chinese government people. Well, this one lady that's in Ireland. Um, so not even in China, but she spreads a lot of Chinese stuff, and I like looking at it. It's a lot of beautiful pictures and scenery from China, and like a bunch of pro-China, like breath of fresh air, like humanizing China. And I don't think we get enough of that. And I love XAP for that. And same with Russia. I just like tried to talk to the Russian government. Like it's like, hey, what do you think about this? And I proposed some like negotiation terms for President Putin. I was like, hey, this and that, and even talked about disarming NATO. Like, why not? If the Cold War ended and the USSR really collapsed, which I think is like really the last thing a lot of people want to prove, is okay, really? Like, why isn't Putin stepping down and allowing another leader to take over? Oh, and here's an interesting thing. The one guy, the Alexei, I watched an interview about him. I think he got poisoned and he was in jail. He just died in jail. He was murdered or something. And see, I should probably find that out. But he's dead in jail. So regardless of what is said is the cause, like not a lot of people believe Epstein hung himself in jail. So I mean that's just kind of frame of reference for that. But um, his partner, the other guy. So I saw a community note. Wait, let me back up even further than that. It was a community note on a video of an undercover video, a secret recording basically of a guy, a Russian, talking to an MI6 military intelligence agent about getting 10 to 12 million dollars, okay, to stage a coup in Russia. So okay, that's pretty condemning. Like that's pretty concerning. Like oh wait, what? You know, but um, because people were saying it was Alexei, it was the guy that was in jail, and it was an unrelated incident, and I think it was back in 2012. But around the time of the 2014 Ukraine incident, where like it was all violent and everything, and there was a coup, there was a whatever, and I heard rumblings that the U.S. was involved in that. In fact, I think that was from the Putin Tucker interview from Putin. So whether it was or not, I mean, even like, and I like how Tucker brought up Nord Stream. Like that, I don't think anybody in the West is surprised if that could be us. Like, I'm not saying it was. I don't know. I'm not privy to that kind of information. But like Putin said in the interview, look for who has opportunity and who has the desire to. Because a lot of people want to, like, but who has the opportunity to? Sorry, my throat's really dry from talking, talking. But anyways, so all in a roundabout way, what I've been trying to say is I added a Chinese video that this lady, this government lady or ambassador in Ireland, posted. It was about the Uyghurs. Sorry. For those that don't know, if you say Uyghurs like Tiggers, and sorry, that might even be offensive to people, and it is kind of like a slap in the face. It's to replace the N word and to refer to white people that act, well, for the lack of a better term, black. Like the Beastie Boys. I mean, they embraced what was usually predominantly black culture, but confused as poor culture. Because, and then you get Eminem, which finally like really seals the deal. It's just poor people, that's it. Black or white, and we've got a bunch of rich black people that would never, be caught dead doing any of the things that you see Eminem out in the, or at least his hood rat days. Same with mine. Like I wouldn't be out caught doing any hood rat things now. I'm old. Like I've grown out of that. My prefrontal cortex is fully developed as, especially now that I'm in my mid 30s, but even up to my mid 20s, my decision maker wasn't fully developed. And that was another argument I brought up with that lady. I was like, I don't really support transgender kids either, unless their parents approve of it. And I know that's part of the process. Is parents have to talk with the doctors. They do I think they even have like a therapy requirement and a counseling, but still like the concern that Russia is, at least from my point of view, like from what I'm seeing, they're concerned about their kids being tricked into thinking that they can either become a woman or a man, and that's not the case. It's cosmetic. It's starting to be behavioral. There's puberty blockers. It can be very convincing, but if you're not reinforcing the fact that you will never be pregnant or you will never be able to conceive a child after that, you basically mess up your reproductive ability, and it's irreversible. Like same with getting your tubes tied as a dude. I forget what that's called. Not a hysterectomy. I think that's the woman's, but anyways, or getting snipped. A vasectomy. There you go. I was gonna have a vasectomy, so I could still, you know, enjoy adult things, but not have more kids. And I thought it was reversible. So like when I was ready, then I could just undo it, untie him. And that's what I heard someone say. It's like, oh yeah, you could reverse it. And then I talked to my doctor. He's like, no, not so much. I was like, what? He's like, yeah, I don't think you should do it. If you really want to have another kid in your life, and which I kind of do. I mean, I love my two kiddos, and I'd like to have another one, but we'll see. I mean, I don't know how that would even work, but or maybe adopt. I don't know. I don't know. But my point being is, well, and if I'm gonna go the adopt route, I'd rather go like one of my friend's older brothers used to run an orphanage in Peru, and that's what I would be doing. Is like I'd want to like you know at least have a big hand in that, and then still adopt, but be like a part-time dad to a lot of people. I don't know, but anyways, we're getting close to that 30-minute mark. Oh, five. So my point with all this is I posted a video of the Uyghurs and the Chinese. This Chinese lady talking about a bunch of these people, which actually, what's not so funny is there's evidence coming out or being leaked out that they're in like these prison camp type situations, which to which I replied, um, look at how we treated Mexican and Central and Southern American kids, like put them in cages like dogs. And you want to talk to me about being humane about a bunch of people up here that the U.S. might have influenced to rally against China and do a coup, like we just did apparently in Ukraine, and see whether we did or not, innocent until proven guilty. The idea that it's a possibility, we can't rule it out. And with how close the Bidens are, even, I mean, that's kind of another thing that, like, I feel like is going to be an interesting side effect of investigating Hunter. I don't give a rip about Hunter except for he's not in prison for crack. Like, that's all I'm concerned about. Is like, how are you going to stand there on the floor? And I'm just waiting for an apology from President Biden to just be like, you know what? I was wrong about the war on drugs. I apologize to all the families that are destroyed by having their kids, their dads, their moms be in prison for 5 years when this guy's over there not even just not dodging prison. Okay, he's not just even dodging prison like a lot of people, especially poor people, can't, because they can't afford to just go get a hotel anymore. Like, if they're gonna go use drugs, they're probably gonna be on the street or hiding behind a back alley and go into jail. Anyways, my point of all that is like, and I voted for him. I'll vote for President Biden again. I think he's definitely the clear choice, even with all of his evil, which I mean, I'm speaking out against and I'm trying to fix it. But he's still better than Trump. I mean, yeah, for so many reasons. Sorry. Ugh. I need to get out of this house. I think it's just a little dusty. Might go for a walk. Anywho, my point is I showed that video which brought some new evidence, and the first thing they do is say, "Oh, now he's promoting Chinese propaganda." They didn't even watch the video. I don't think they watched the Tucker Putin interview, and I even pointed out key points from it and the reason and justified why. I felt like I was doing a research presentation to them. Like, look at this video. The fact that Putin doesn't think God's doing this stuff rules out or doesn't rule out, but it makes me optimistic about the idea that this isn't a religious issue, meaning it is all being done in common sense and logic or rationality. It's a rational thing that Putin's trying to do. Now, the Ukraine invasion and all that, who knows? Maybe he's trying to get rid of a bunch of military equipment too. Like, you notice how a lot of tanks are left there? You know, good cause to build new tanks, create jobs. Like, how do we know that he's not doing the same thing America's doing? Like, we're doing a Lord of War. What if he's doing a Lord of War? I mean, he's a human. We're a human. Money make or guns make money. That doesn't just stop because you cross out of America's borders and go into Russia's borders. Everybody's still trying to make a buck, and they're doing it in sleazy ways. Oh, sorry. So, anyways, so that was another thing. And then she blocked me again. And then the other dude, he unfollowed me. Okay. And he lives in Canada, and he was even bringing up Canada's dirty laundry. Like, you know, Canada's actually a bunch of crazy redneck hicks sometimes too, and he pointed out examples. And then when I'm critical of America, and I try to say, let's be less critical of China and Russia, the two countries that we're almost at war with, why? Why are we doing all this? Like, let's look at this. Let's stop lying, first of all. And she never apologized for lying. She never found an article to prove that she wasn't lying. She just claimed falsely that Putin is executing and imprisoning gay people. And then I proved that no, the actually what's going on is he's putting people in jail for up to 15 days for the LGBTQ flag, which, okay, it's a bit much, but BLM was a bit for a while there. And even if not, look how some cops reacted to it. And then you were in jail anyway. Like it didn't matter that you were wearing a BLM shirt. You just signaled yourself out during a tense time with law enforcement. And I do have a buddy that was a cop in Aurora during all of the riots and protests. And as much as he hates the new legislation that came through, and I agree, it's scary for him, for cops to be accountable, but it's also scary because a lot of that is going to be accidental. Like the unfortunate downside of the one of the many downsides of the war on drugs is people are going to be out there in the streets because they're not rich and they can't afford like nice fancy houses or hotels to temporarily do these things where people like Hunter are off in a hotel room with way more crack than should be 5 years. That should be 15 years. Because if it's a quarter size, I saw that scale. He had at least 3 or 4 quarters size worth on that scale. And you're going to tell me that that doesn't, there's the hypocrisy there. Anyways, granted, it's a younger Biden. Like I said, I'm going to vote for him again. Not Trump is still better. And I made my mistake voting for not Hillary and not Trump last time. And I admit, as much as like this one guy was saying, that's not really a vote for Trump, and here's why, and there's like a theory and all that, but it kind of is because it still made it like I would have normally vote Democrat. So my vote, which is normally like projected, polled, whatever, like it would see it this way. So yeah, a vote for third party is just basically the same as not voting, and it's important that everybody votes. Hmm. That's a weird and horrible way to end the video, but we're well past 30 minutes, so ta ta for now. I will see you later.